Hi, it's Sean, the Fluency Awesomizer. This is Decoding Multi-Syllabic Words, episode 67. I've got 4 words on what we'll take a look at today. Let's get started. I want you to read these words right out loud. What's the first word here? How about this? The third word. And finally. All right, were any of those tricky to read? If so, keep watching. I'm going to review those 4 words and show you some decoding strategies to use if you were to ever get stuck on them reading independently. First, a reminder of the fable, the tortoise and the hare, and the moral: slow and steady wins the race. Great advice when you do get stuck on a big unfamiliar word, like this one. Think of these words as races, right? There is a finish line, and if you read like the hare, you might zip through a word like that to get finished quickly. That's where mistakes can happen. But if you read like the tortoise, take it slow and steady. That patience is definitely going to help improve your decoding. So keep that in mind. Let's practice. All right, the first word I showed you here starts with per. That's an R-controlled sound, per. Gets confused a lot with pre, so take a look. Per, pre. So there's per. That looks like vaz. And what's that? Sive. Is that vasive? Or maybe it's a long open syllable. Vasive. Yeah. Oh, this is pervasive. Yeah, pervasive comes from the word pervade. That is a verb, pervade, and it goes back to Latin. Pervadere. Latin pervadere means to spread through. It's a verb. And so that's where we get the word pervade, to spread through. And the DE in the the verb pervade, we're going to drop it and add SIVE to make the adjective pervasive. And pervasive means something that tends to spread. That's what we use to describe something that tends to spread, like a stinky smell. Pervasive, 3 syllables. All right, the next word also starts with per. Purse. What's that? That's a strange vowel pair, UA. Right? Don't get too anxious. Let's focus on what we know. Could be the open syllable sue there. Pursue. You ever heard of that word? Pursue. I recognize as there. What's this? Asive, asive. Maybe it's asive. This is a tricky word, persuasive. All right, let's look at this. Comes from the verb persuade. Persuade goes back to Latin, persuadere, which means to convince. And the SU in this Latin word persuadere is interesting. You need to know that sometimes, not very often, but sometimes SU can sound like SW, sua. So here it is in persuadere. There's also the Latin persuasivis. I might be pronouncing that wrong, persuasivis. But that's the adjective that means having the power to convince. And that's where we get the word persuasive, having the power to convince. Now let's look at this IVE ending here. It comes from the Latin ibis that I just showed you, like in persuasivis. Then became English IVE. And the English added an E to the end there. But it doesn't say I've, there's I've, like I've got a video here for you. That's pronounced ib. It's a short I. The silent E rule doesn't apply here, but there is a silent E. No words end with V in our language that I can think of. So you have to know this when you see it. You see it a lot in like words in active, positive, negative, and objective. I know teachers talk about objectives all the time. And persuasive, which means having the power to convince still. Persuasive, 3 syllables. All right, this is a pretty easy word. Super, open syllable, super, not to be confused with supper. And there's vice. Is it vice or vise? It's supervise. This is making a Z in this word. Supervise is a verb. It goes back to Latin as well, supervises. Super, I think we know the word super. In Latin, that means over. Interesting. And vices in Latin means see. And that VIS, that's the root for vision, to see, vision. So supervise is a verb, and it means to oversee or to look over. It makes me think of a lifeguard at the beach, to look over the crowd, look over people looking for any sort of sign of trouble. Supervise. And finally, in this word here, starts with impress, and we looked at that ending earlier, sieve, impressive. Pretty impressive. Comes from the root press, the verb press. And the M is acting as a prefix. It goes back to Latin. The Latin M means into or in or on. So impress means to press into or onto, or to make an impression, like to press on and leave your fingerprint behind. So impress, add the IVE ending we talked about earlier. You've got the adjective impressive. Just remember that rule about if. There is a silent E, you just don't hear it. It doesn't make the long I, but there is a silent E, impressive. That's it for today. Subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Facebook for more decoding videos like this. My Facebook page, there's a photo album full of reading challenges I've written to help you continue practicing decoding those big words and to awesomize your fluency. And you can just search the Fluency Awesomizer, screenshot this so you get the spelling right. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back and see me soon.